Detach emotionally. Emotional detachment is the foundation of all the strategies that follow. It's not about being cold or indifferent. It's about freeing yourself from being controlled by your emotions. Most men become reactive when a woman pulls away or starts acting distant. They panic, overthink, and try to fix the situation as quickly as possible. But here's the truth: when a woman suddenly changes her behavior, it's often a test. She wants to see if you crumble under pressure. She wants to know if you're easily thrown off balance. And when you react with anxiety, when you start chasing, apologizing, or seeking her approval, you've failed that test. Emotional detachment means staying grounded no matter what she does. Whether she's blowing up your phone or going completely silent, your emotional state stays the same. You're steady, you're centered, you're unaffected by temporary swings in her attention. This kind of emotional stability is rare, and that's exactly why it's so powerful. Women are naturally drawn to men who can keep their composure even in uncertain or stressful situations. It signals strength, and strength is deeply attractive. Now, detachment doesn't mean you don't care at all. It means you care from a place of power, not desperation. You're not dependent on her behavior to feel good about yourself. You're in control of your own emotional world. If she pulls back, you don't chase. If she ghosts you, you don't spiral. You observe, stay calm, and focus on your life. This doesn't mean you pretend nothing's happening. It means you acknowledge the situation without reacting emotionally to it. The more you practice emotional detachment, the more freedom and confidence you'll feel. You'll stop being a slave to other people's behavior and start becoming the kind of man who leads from a place of inner strength. And once you do that, the dynamic shifts. She starts wondering why you're not reacting, why you're not chasing. And in that moment, the power's back in your hands. Detachment isn't giving up. It's rising above. It's refusing to be emotionally manipulated. And it's the first step toward becoming the man she can't control. Recognize behavioral patterns. Women are creatures of habit, and if you pay close attention, you'll start to see clear patterns in their behavior. Recognizing these patterns is powerful because it helps you stop reacting emotionally and start responding with clarity and control. One of the most common patterns is the hot and cold dynamic. One day she's texting you, constantly making plans, complimenting you, and showing interest. Then suddenly she goes quiet. No messages, no energy, no follow-through. She might act distant or like she barely knows you. This push-pull behavior is intentional or subconscious, but either way, it's a test. She wants to know if she can make you chase. If you respond with panic, ask if something's wrong, or try to win back her attention, you've fallen into her trap. You're showing her that your emotions are easily manipulated and that she controls the rhythm of the relationship. The right response is to do nothing. Stay calm, stay focused on your life. Let her feel the absence of your attention instead of rewarding her inconsistency with more effort. When you don't react, the script flips. She becomes curious. She starts questioning why you are not responding like other men. And that's when you gain the upper hand. Another common pattern is breadcrumbing. This is when she gives you just enough attention to keep you interested, but never follows through with real effort or commitment. Maybe she sends flirty texts or says she wants to hang out, but plans never materialize. The solution is simple. Call it out without drama. Say something like, if you're not genuinely interested in spending time together, that's totally fine, but I'm not here for half effort. That kind of calm, direct communication shows self-respect. Recognizing patterns helps you see through the games and stop taking things personally. Once you can predict behavior, you no longer feel confused or off balance. You become emotionally stable, and that stability makes you incredibly attractive. Set boundaries. Early setting boundaries is not just about protecting yourself. It's about commanding respect from the very beginning. If you don't set clear boundaries early in a relationship, you send the message that it's okay for someone to treat you however they want. A lot of men avoid setting boundaries because they're afraid of pushing women away. They think that being too direct will scare her off, but here's the truth: women actually respect boundaries. Boundaries show that you value yourself, and a man who values himself naturally earns respect from others. So how do you set boundaries without seeming insecure or controlling? First, understand that boundaries are not about telling someone what to do. They are about communicating what you need in order to feel respected. Let's say she frequently cancels plans last minute or leaves you waiting with no explanation. Don't ignore it or brush it off. Address it calmly and clearly. You might say, I've noticed plans keep falling through. I value consistency, and if this isn't something you're interested in making work, that's totally fine. But I'm not okay with this back and forth. You're not attacking. You're not accusing. You're stating your needs with confidence and clarity. Here's another example. Suppose she flirts with other guys in front of you to test your reaction. Most men would either blow up or shut down. You're going to take a different approach. Later in private, you say, if you're interested in someone else, I respect that, but I'm not going to be part of a situation where that's happening. When you calmly assert your boundaries, you give her a choice, respect your standards, or move on. Either way, you win. You maintain your self-respect and emotional stability. Remember, boundaries are not walls, they're filters. They protect your peace and they show others how to treat you. When you set them early, you stop problems before they start and create space for a relationship based on mutual respect. Stay calm under pressure. One of the most powerful things you can do when dealing with emotional games is to stay calm under pressure. When a woman is testing you, she's often trying to trigger an emotional reaction. She might bring up her ex-flirt with other guys in front of you or make subtle jabs just to see how you'll respond. These are all ways of seeing whether you can be thrown off balance. Most men fail this test. They get jealous, defensive, or angry. They raise their voice, argue, or try to compete for attention. But the high-value man, the man who lives by Stoic principles, stays calm. He doesn't give her the emotional reaction she's looking for. Instead, he remains composed, confident, and completely unbothered. Let's say she mentions her ex in conversation. Most guys would respond with irritation or insecurity. But you're not going to fall into that trap. You might respond with something simple like, sounds like you had fun. You're not being sarcastic or passive-aggressive. You're showing that it doesn't faze you. That kind of calm, detached response makes you unpredictable and hard to shake. Or imagine she's flirting with another guy at a party. Most men would get visibly upset or try to outshine the competition. But not you. You stay relaxed, make conversation with others, and enjoy yourself. Your composure speaks louder than any emotional outburst ever could. It tells her, you can't control me, I decide how I respond. When you keep your cool, you maintain the upper hand. You show that you're not ruled by impulse or insecurity. You become a man who is emotionally solid, and that kind of strength is rare and deeply attractive. Staying calm under pressure doesn't mean you suppress how you feel. It means you don't let those feelings control your actions. You remain the anchor in the storm, and that is where your true power lies. Focus on long-term goals. One of the biggest traps men fall into is getting caught up in the moment, obsessing over a woman's attention, or trying to fix every emotional dip in the relationship. They crave the instant gratification of a sweet text, a date going well, or immediate reassurance. But Stoicism teaches us to think beyond the moment. It teaches us to focus on the bigger picture. When you prioritize long-term goals like your career, your fitness, or your personal growth, you naturally stop reacting to every little shift in her mood or attention. You become less dependent on temporary validation because your self-worth isn't tied to whether she texts you back or not. Let's say you've been dating someone for a few weeks. Things seem to be going great, then suddenly she starts pulling back. She texts less, seems distracted, or cancels plans. Most guys panic. They overthink, chase harder, and give even more of their time and energy trying to win her back. But a man focused on long-term goals handles it differently. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't beg for attention. He simply keeps doing what he was doing, building his life, improving himself, and staying on his path. If she comes back, great. If not, he keeps moving forward. This mindset creates emotional independence. You stop putting all your emotional energy into one person and instead invest it into your own progress. And here's the irony: when you no longer chase her or react to her distance, you become even more attractive. She sees that you're not like the others. You're not waiting around for her approval. You have a mission. Focusing on your long-term goals isn't just about success. It's about identity. You are a man with purpose, a man who doesn't break his momentum for games or emotional drama. And that level of discipline and clarity is exactly what sets you apart. Avoid emotional retaliation. One of the most damaging mistakes men make in relationships is responding to emotional games with retaliation. A woman does something to upset you, flirts with another guy, ghosts you, or makes a passive-aggressive comment, and your first instinct might be to get even. Maybe you start ignoring her. Maybe you try to make her jealous. Maybe you say something just to hurt her back. But here's the truth. The moment you retaliate emotionally, you've already lost. You're no longer in control. She is. A Stoic man doesn't give in to emotional retaliation because he understands that reacting impulsively gives away his power. Instead of letting someone else's behavior determine your mood or decisions, you remain calm and composed. Let's say she suddenly pulls back or goes quiet for a few days. Most men would panic, double text, or try to get her attention through indirect tactics. A stronger man, however, withdraws quietly. He doesn't chase, argue, or act out. He simply focuses on himself and moves forward with purpose. If she flirts with another guy in front of you, you don't retaliate by flirting with someone else. You don't start a scene or get visibly upset. You stay relaxed. You observe. You let your silence speak for you. That lack of reaction is powerful. It sends a message: you're not emotionally available for games. You're not going to be baited into insecurity or jealousy. Women are used to seeing men crack under pressure. They're used to emotional responses. But when you don't react, when you show that your emotions are steady, no matter what, everything changes. Suddenly, the game is no longer fun for her because she realizes she cannot control you. Avoiding emotional retaliation is not weakness. It is discipline. It's choosing to respond with intelligence and self-respect rather than anger or ego. The less reactive you are, the more powerful you become. And that power builds the kind of self-control most men never achieve. Communicate clearly and firmly. Clear communication is one of the most overlooked but essential traits of a strong Stoic man. Most people either avoid hard conversations or approach them with too much emotion. This leads to drama, misunderstandings, and resentment. But when you communicate directly and calmly, you take control of the situation and command respect. A man who communicates clearly doesn't argue, beg, or try to guilt someone into changing. He simply expresses what he sees, what he needs, and what he will or will not tolerate. That kind of self-assured communication eliminates confusion and draws clear lines. Let's say the woman you're seeing starts acting distant or inconsistent. Most men either bottle up their frustration or explode in anger. But you're going to take a different approach. You might say something like, "I've noticed a shift in your behavior. If there's something going on, I'd rather talk about it directly." You're not accusing her. You're not making demands. You're opening the door for honest communication without creating conflict. This approach is powerful because it shows maturity, emotional control, and confidence. Another example might be when she cancels plans repeatedly or gives mixed signals. You can calmly respond with, "I'm someone who values consistency. If this isn't something you're serious about, I understand, but I'm not interested in back and forth." By setting the tone early and clearly stating your expectations, you establish a dynamic built on respect, not guessing games. And if she cannot meet you at that level, then you know where you stand and you can walk away without hesitation. Stoic communication is never emotional or dramatic. It's calm, direct, and rooted in self-respect. When you speak with clarity and firmness, you send a powerful message. You are not afraid of honesty, and you are not going to tolerate games. Remember, how you communicate teaches others how to treat you. Make sure your words are steady, your boundaries are clear, and your message is always grounded in strength. Prioritize your well-being. The most important relationship in your life is the one you have with yourself. Yet many men forget this when they become emotionally entangled with someone who plays games or disrespects their time and energy. If you're constantly feeling anxious, drained, or second-guessing yourself, it's time to ask a serious question. What are you sacrificing for this connection? Your mental peace, emotional health, and self-respect should never be compromised for anyone. That doesn't mean you ignore your partner's needs or avoid making compromises. It means you draw a clear line when it comes to your own well-being. Far too often, men start adjusting their behavior to keep a woman interested. They walk on eggshells trying not to upset her. They tolerate inconsistency and emotional roller coasters because they're afraid of losing her. But the truth is, the moment you place her needs above your own peace of mind, you've already lost yourself in the process. A high-value man knows that his time, energy, and emotions are valuable. He doesn't chase after someone who keeps playing hot and cold. He doesn't beg for clarity or cling to situations that leave him feeling less than. He checks in with himself regularly and protects his peace at all costs. If a woman's behavior is causing you to feel unstable, step back and evaluate. Are you compromising your self-worth just to keep her around? If so, it's time to refocus. Go to the gym, build your career, spend time with people who uplift you, reconnect with your mission and purpose. Here's the powerful part. When you begin to prioritize yourself, you instantly become more attractive. Not because you're trying to be, but because self-respect radiates strength. Either she will rise to meet your standard or she will fall away. Either way, you win. Your peace is priceless. Never give it away to someone who hasn't earned the right to be in your life. Put yourself first, not out of selfishness, but out of self-preservation. Practice patience. Patience is one of the most underrated tools a man can have, especially when dealing with women who play emotional games. In today's world of instant gratification, everyone wants answers right away. You want to know where you stand, what she's thinking, and why she's acting differently. But the man who practices patience sets himself apart from the rest. Women often test your patience to see how emotionally stable you are. They might delay responding to your texts, cancel plans last minute, or disappear for a few days just to see how you'll react. Most men take the bait. They panic, double text, and try to regain her attention. But a patient man does none of that. Instead, he stays composed. He waits. He understands that silence is not always rejection, and that not every shift in behavior requires an immediate response. He allows things to unfold naturally without rushing to control the outcome. When she pulls back, he does not chase. He gives her space and lets her come back on her own terms. And more often than not, she will. Why? Because patience is power. It shows that you are not desperate. It shows that you are emotionally mature and that your world does not revolve around someone else's attention. This kind of self-control makes you rare and incredibly attractive. You're not the guy who reacts out of fear or insecurity. You're the man who knows his worth and does not need to beg for connection. Patience also applies beyond relationships. It teaches you to delay gratification in all areas of life, career health, and personal growth. It allows you to act with purpose rather than impulse. When you master patience, you become a man who can weather any emotional storm and still move forward with confidence. So the next time you feel that urge to react or fix something, instantly pause. Wait, let time reveal the truth. The man who is patient holds the real power because he never chases what does not serve him. Know when to walk away. There is nothing more powerful than knowing when to walk away and actually doing it. Most men struggle with this. They stay in situations where they are being disrespected, manipulated, or emotionally drained because they fear losing the woman or being alone. But the truth is, the ability to walk away is not just an option. It is your greatest form of strength. Not every woman is meant to be in your life. If she constantly cancels plans, plays emotional games, flirts with other guys in front of you, or keeps you in a state of confusion, you owe it to yourself to leave. And not with anger, not to get a reaction, but with quiet, confident detachment. When you walk away, you send a clear message. You are not a man who begs for love or attention. You are not someone who tolerates chaos or emotional manipulation. You have standards, and if someone cannot meet them, you have no problem moving on. Here's the interesting part. The moment you truly walk away, many times she will come back. Why? Because walking away is the ultimate act of self-respect. It shows her that you are not afraid to be alone. You are not controlled by her behavior. And that kind of confidence is magnetic. But it is important to understand this. Walking away is not a tactic to make her chase you. It is a declaration of your value. You are saying, if this situation no longer supports my peace and self-respect, I am done. Sometimes she will not come back, and that is okay. Because by walking away, you have already won. You protected your dignity, your time, and your emotional well-being. You chose yourself. Most men stay far too long hoping things will change. But the man who knows when to leave never loses himself in the process. He knows that real power comes from walking away with his head held high and never looking back. So if she cannot meet you with honesty, consistency, and respect, then walk away, not to teach her a lesson, but to protect the most important thing you have, your peace. In today's world of uncertain relationships, emotional manipulation, and constant testing, one of the most valuable things you can do for yourself is to master emotional discipline and self-respect. The moment you stop allowing other people's behavior, especially women who play hot and cold games to dictate your mood, your confidence, and your direction, you begin to reclaim your power. You don't need to argue, chase, prove your worth, or retaliate. What you need is control over your mind, your time, and your energy. If someone ghosts you, pulls back, or starts treating you like an option, let them. You don't need to react. You need to observe. Recognize the patterns, and instead of playing along, step back and hold the line. Set clear boundaries and do so without emotion or drama. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't suppress your needs, but don't deliver them with desperation either. Communicate with calm confidence. Focus on building your purpose, not chasing attention. Women are naturally drawn to men who are grounded, driven, and hard to shake. So instead of obsessing over her next move, obsess over your next step in life, your business, your body, your mind, your future. Learn the art of patience. Not everything needs to be fixed right now. Let people reveal who they are over time. Trust that what is meant for you will find its way and what is not will fade, and that either outcome benefits you. And above all, know when to walk away. If a situation, person, or a relationship threatens your peace, your confidence, or your clarity, leave. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. You are not a man who needs to beg, perform, or compete. You are a man who holds the power of silence, self-discipline, and vision. That makes you rare. That makes you strong. So apply this to your life today. Let go of people who play games. Rebuild your standards. Stay grounded in who you are. And remember, you don't attract respect by demanding it. You attract it by becoming the kind of man who never chases what he can outgrow. Master yourself first, and everything else will fall into place.